Next, let's queer up gay culture. Club Q shooter charged with hate crimes and murder gets life in prison. The suspect in a mass shooting that killed 5 people in an LGBTQ plus nightclub has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in a United States courtroom. Earlier on Monday, the suspect, 23-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich, pleaded guilty to 5 charges of murder and 46 counts of attempted murder as part of a deal with prosecutors. Aldrich also pleaded no contest to 2 hate crimes. The plea deal averted the possibility of a prolonged and emotional trial, coming nearly 7 months after the November attack on the Club Q nightclub in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Aldrich, who stormed into Club Q wearing body armor and carrying several weapons, killed 5 people and injured nearly 24 before being subdued by the heroic actions of patrons who wrestled him to the ground. The attack brought attention to violence and increasingly hostile rhetoric across the U.S. against members of the LGBTQ plus community, particularly transgender people. Club Q was known as a safe haven for the local LGBTQ plus population. It also drew comparisons to the 2016 shooting at Pulse, an LGBTQ plus nightclub in Orlando, Florida, where an attacker killed 49 people. Well, I can't say that this sounds as a victory, because there's no victory when people's lives have been lost from gun violence. The sad part, I think, for all of us is that although people have gone to jail, there's been no changes to any gun reform that keep any of us any safer, especially in the LGBTQ plus community. And specifically here in Florida, we're actually less safe due to laws that have been passed here in Florida. I think we all have taken a sigh of relief here in South Florida with all the events that have gone on, and you know, saying a prayer that all of us have been able to remain safe. But the rhetoric is still being amped up, and I would suspect we're going to see further attacks at some point, because people are being radicalized by a lot of the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric that's coming from people in places of power, especially politicians.
And it's wild, especially when you think about the age. 23 years old, older than Max, younger than me, just by a little bit. You know, this hate isn't inherent. This is taught, this is shown, this is indoctrinated, if you will, into someone so young, and actually taking that kind of violent action. It's concerning to see where things are going.
Yeah, and you know, I think what's especially heinous is not too long after that shooting, the shooter tried to play it off and say that they were non-binary to get out of a hate crime.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, conservatives ate that up, saying that this is not an attack against our community, and that this is just, you know, that we're just trying to drum up, you know, more support for our community through this, which was absolutely heinous and terrible, and I think really added insult to injury after the shooting.
Yeah, I read a study, the Alliance for Gun Responsibility had a study, or a report that said, and which was in 2022, so this is obviously, you know, pretty recent, that over the last 4 years there was a 93% increase in gun violence against the LGBTQ community. So in 4 years, and basically has doubled. And in 2017, which is now seems very outdated, 60% of homicides against queer people were due to used by guns. So again, just extrapolating those numbers, and you know what's happened in 2023, the overwhelming negative sentiment that's out there against our community is just going to continue to drive people to these type of actions. I mean, I'm fearful of it for sure.
We all are, yeah. But so far, it's not dampening. I know that when Pride was coming, my wife was like, I don't know if I want to go to a place where we're all gathered and we're a big target. And I said, honey, we have to go, because if we don't go, they win.
That's right.
But it is a risk for all of us now. When you see this happen, I mean, but for the grace of God, go I, we weren't in that nightclub. Or somebody like that didn't come to a place where we're hanging out.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's, again, a part of Pride Month is, of course, we're here to advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, but let's not forget the intersectionality where gun violence, you know, impacts us, and that we should be supporting candidates, supporting causes, and showing up for things that are for sensible gun reform. No one is trying to take anyone's guns away, but we need to have a community and a world that's safer from gun violence. So.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.